You know it's this. Take a perk and talk it and see. Money slowly like sis. Did it perfected the kid. Got a feeling who's single my hater. Nothing better. Cause I don't grow, I just spit. I know we got $1 million. The devil, they see they not cheaper than again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the first part of What If Naruto Enters Undertale? Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of Hussbek on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. The sun gradually rises to the sky to signal the end of the night and the beginning of a new day over an illustrious city close to the coast and near a mountain. Large numbers of people have long since awakened from their restful sleep and are about to commence with their daily activities as long as they can till the day eventually comes to its end. We now move away from the concrete jungle and towards the suburbs to focus upon a duplex house, particularly the left room on the first floor. Inside we can see various things like posters on the walls, depicting masked superheroes or swordsmen, an L-shaped computer desk with drawers and a shelf installed in one corner of the room close to the window where a customized desktop computer with triple monitors is situated on it. Looking further is a wardrobe next to a bookcase bed where upon it lies someone who's wide awake and staring towards the ceiling in silence. It appears to be a 13-year-old boy with spiky blonde hair, azure blue eyes, whisker-like markings on his cheeks. He was wearing his sleepwear and lost in thought when he heard a voice call out to him. Naruto. Sochi-kun, are you awake? It's time for breakfast, a female voice called to him. The now identified Naruto sat up from his bed with a sigh. He got off and went downstairs after brushing his teeth and rinsing his face for the meantime. The blonde arrived at the kitchen where the source of the voice was at the dining table, waiting for him with the food having already been prepared. A woman with pale skin and long red hair which reached her waist with one side held up by a black hair clip. She wears a high-collared, sleeveless blouse under a long loose-fitting dress with a wristband on her left wrist. This is Kushina Uzumaki, Naruto's loving mother. Morning Naru-chan, did you sleep well? Asked Kushina, handing over a plate of fried eggs and toast bread to the blonde boy to take. I did, even woke before my alarm clock sounded. I don't know why I haven't shut it off since I don't go to school anymore, said Naruto as he spread butter on a slice of toast before taking a bite out of it. Kushina frowned softly at that. I know that you've been doing well in your online classes, but are you sure that you don't want to go back to public school? It's been 4 years since that day. She glanced at the white wraps on his hands. He hardly took them off except when bathing and always says that it was due to training. I can understand where you're going with this, Mom, but I don't really see myself going back at any time. Plus, I'm fine with the way things are right now, said Naruto. Kushina let out a sigh at that. She often had this particular subject come up at least once a month and always gets the same answer from the blonde. Sometimes she wished that he hadn't inherited her stubbornness. Both ate in silence for the meantime until the red-headed mother spoke up once more. So, what will you be doing today? Asked Kushina. Naruto was silent for a moment before speaking up. Well, I'll be having online classes this morning till noon, then I'll go hiking in the forest near Mtibot to do some training. Kushina nodded in understanding. Okay then, be sure to pass by the restaurant so that I can pack up some lunch for you. Okay, Mom. Naruto saw Kushina off as she drove away in a station wagon towards her workplace before locking the door and headed back upstairs to his room after passing through the kitchen to pick up a bag of chips and a bottle of orange soda. Naruto took his seat at the desk and turned on the computer and put on a set of headphones. He connected to the internet and linked up to the site and logged on with a notepad and a pen nearby to jot down certain points. Online classes was eventually over and Naruto went to take a bath, then went to the cabinet to change from his pajamas and was now wearing a zip-up sleeveless orange hoodie with a red swirl on the back over a blue short-sleeved t-shirt, 2 black wristbands, green cargo shorts, a pair of goggles with orange lens around his neck, and a pair of blue open-toed sandals. He picked up his phone to send a message to his mom that he was on his way to the restaurant, then strapped a waist pack to his waist with the phone inside. Naruto went to the corner of the room to pick up a red oak suburi ken with a leather grip to place it inside a black saya sheath and strapping it diagonally to his back. Now that he was all set, Naruto headed down to the garage and took out his BMX bike out to the driveway and made sure that the house was locked securely before making his way to his destination. Naruto left the suburbs and into the city. He arrived at the restaurant with the sign above it saying, Crimson Whirlpool. The blonde went inside to see quite a lot of customers seated at booths. A chef noticed the blonde and called out to him fondly, "Hey there Naruto, it's been a while." "Yeah, it has, Tucci-san. Have you seen my mom?" asked Naruto with a smile. "She's in the kitchen. I don't think she's that busy." "Thanks." The blonde went through the double doors into the kitchen where he saw Kushina hand over a platter of food to a waitress whom he recognized to be Tucci's daughter Ayam. Ayam smiled brightly as she passed by. "Hi there, Naruto." She exited the kitchen to serve the customer with the food ordered. "Hello Sochi-kun, how was your classes today?" asked Kushina as she approached her son. Naruto shrugged his shoulder in response, "It went okay without a hitch and I got some assignments which I'll do later tonight." "That's good to hear. Let me get your lunch since I don't waste any more of your time, okay?" Kushina immediately went to do so while Naruto took out a juice pack and placed it into the waste pack. She soon returned with a bento box wrapped in a napkin. "Here you go, you should watch out for any wild animals while you're out in the forest training." Naruto smiled in assurance, "Don't worry mom, I'll be just fine. I'll see you at home." He placed the bento into the waste pack as well before bidding his mother farewell and leaving the busy restaurant. Kushina let out a sad sigh as she watched her son go. He doesn't say and tries very hard not to show it, but he really misses you Minato-kun, we all do. "Here we are," Naruto muttered as he got off the bike and was currently standing at the edge of the forest close to Mtiabat. He chained the bike to a tree trunk behind some thick bushes to conceal it, then proceeded to make his trek through the forest, all the while keeping both eyes and ears wide open for anything. He arrived at a small clearing surrounded by trees with a fallen tree trunk at the other end. Naruto stood there silently as memories flowed into his mind. In the clearing, he saw a younger Naruto seated at the tree trunk and watching a man with spiky blonde hair like him swinging a bokken in fluid motions as if fighting an imaginary enemy. The man finally stopped and turned to see Kid Naruto clapping his hand excitedly. He approached the boy and ruffled his hair with a loving smile. Naruto let out a sigh as the memory faded away and reached into his t-shirt to take out a dog tag with a name inscribed onto it, Minato Namikaze. "Dad," Naruto walked into the middle of the clearing while drawing out the bokken from the sheath and took a stance while taking in a deep breath and letting it out with his eyes closed in focus. He visualized a swordsman standing before him and took to shadowboxing but preferring to be rather defensive and not attack. Naruto went at this for about an hour till he decided to take a moment of rest. He suddenly heard footsteps and turned sharply only to look upon an interesting sight. Before him is a young wolf cub with dark green and white fur, with the latter forming some sort of marking on the forehead. He watched as the wolf pup was holding one end of a stick in its teeth and swinging to and fro like a sword with dashes and lunges, impressing him. Naruto started clapping his hands, which got the pup to stop and turn towards him. "Nice moves there, seems like you've been practicing like me." The cub placed the stick down and approached him with its tongue hanging out and tail wagging. Naruto went down on one knee and cautiously raised a hand out to the pup and gently petted it. "Something tells me that this isn't the first time you've been watching me, since some of the moves are rather similar to that of my own." The wolf pup barked as if affirming his statement. It propped itself up on Naruto's knee and happily licked his cheeks, which got the blonde to chuckle in amusement before pushing it back a bit to wipe the slobber off his face. "Well, aren't you a hyper pup? Shouldn't you head back to where your family is?" asked Naruto. Then he noticed that the little wolf's ears drooped and its tail stopped wagging. "Oh, I see you've also lost someone close to you like me." He petted the wolf pup to cheer it up a bit, which seemed to work from the slow wagging of the tail. "Enough with the dreary atmosphere, let's have the lunch mom packed for me. I'll share some with you." The pup was now hyper again and hopping around him excitedly. Naruto sat down at the fallen tree trunk and took out the bento box from the waist pack around his waist. He opened to see that it is an Isai bento comprising of plain boiled rice, potato salad, fried chicken cutlet, gravy and scrambled eggs. Naruto helped himself to the food while giving bits of it to the wolf pup, who ate it with relish before washing it down with the juice pack and poured some into the empty bento box for the pup to drink from. "You know, I figure that I should give you a name since we're gonna be together from now on," said Naruto thoughtfully. The wolf pup looked up to him with a tilt of its head. "How about I call you Nikken?" "It means, my friend," the wolf pup barked happily with its tail wagging to show that it likes its new name. "Glad to see that you approve. Let's get you to your new home then." Naruto packed the bento box into the waste pack and returned the bokken to its sheath before leaving the clearing. He then noticed that Nikken wasn't following him and turned to see the newly named wolf pup sniffing the air several times. "What's the matter, Nikken?" The wolf pup looked back and barked before running off, leaving Naruto with little choice but to follow after him. The duo traversed through the forest. They eventually emerged out of it and Naruto looked around to realize where they are. They're actually at Mtiabat. He recalls from the stories his mom told him. Legend spoke of how anyone who climbs the mountain never return. "Why did you bring me up here, Nikken?" asked Naruto. Then he saw the wolf pup go inside a cave and followed after it. Hey wait, he found himself inside of the cavern and noticed that he wasn't the only inside as he saw someone ahead of him. The person appears to be about his age but slightly shorter with yellowish skin complexion. He could guess it's a girl judging by the long brown hair reaching to her lower back as she wears a blue shirt with purple stripes, a pair of blue shorts, and a pair of brown shoes. What's she doing here? Naruto wondered in confusion. Then he noticed that she was standing close to a hole, which set off alarms in his brain as he moved quickly towards the girl. "Move away from there, that place is dangerous." Nikken barked in agreement. Startled, the girl turned around to reveal that she has squinted eyes. But when she was turning, her foot tripped on a vine, causing her to stumble backwards towards the hole. Naruto's eyes widened in dread as he dove for the girl and managed to grab her hand. Nikken tried to help by clamping on Naruto's shorts and pulling as hard as it could. "Hang on, I'll pull you up." Crack. Naruto's heart skipped a beat in fear at the sound and looked down to see the ground giving way. They all fell into the hole and Naruto instinctively wrapped his arms around the girl and pulled Nikken to his chest. All three of them blacked out upon impact. Ugh! Naruto let out a pained groan while opening his eyes. He felt something cold pressing against his cheek and looked to see Nikken next to him and pressing its nose on him before barking happily to see that he was conscious. "Hey Nikken, glad to see that you're alright buddy." But what about the girl? He looked to see that the girl laid on a large bed of golden flowers which they were all on. Naruto shook the girl for her to awaken and look around in confusion before setting her eyes upon him. Who are you?" asked the girl timidly. "The name's Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze and this is my buddy Nikken. What's your name and why did you come here?" Naruto responded. "My name is Frisk, I came here cause I was a bit curious." "I often go out exploring," said the girl. "Okay, but didn't your parents tell you about how dangerous this place is?" asked Naruto. Then he noticed Frisk looking down to the ground sadly. "I don't have any parents, I'm an orphan." "Oh, sorry about asking that question. For now we should find a way out of here." Feeling apologetic, Naruto reached into the waste pack to take out his phone to call his mom, but it wasn't connecting after 6 tries. Then he tried the other numbers but they weren't connecting either. "This is a problem. I can't reach anyone with my phone and the hole is too high for us to climb out of." "So, what do we do?" asked Frisk worriedly. "Best option is to find another way out and we can start by going through that pathway over there." Naruto pointed at said path, getting Frisk to nod in understanding. The trio, if you can count the wolf pup as one, went through what appears to be a hallway of an ancient ruin before going through a large door which seemed to be embellished with a symbol unknown to them. Naruto took a picture of the symbol to research on it later. The area which they entered in next was rather dark and empty save for a small illuminated patch of green grass. There was another one of the golden flowers from before, but this one has a face. "Howdy," and it just spoke. "I'm Flowey, Flowey the flower." "A talking flower?" Naruto muttered while Frisk stood behind, feeling wary of the strange creature. "Why did you make me introduce myself first?" asked Flowey with a giggle. "Somebody needs to teach you how things work around here, and I guess it would have to be little old me." "If you're ready, let's get started." Naruto felt a rather strange pulling sensation in his chest as a glow emitted from it before something came out. he saw a red heart hovering a bit away from him and couldn't help but feel that he was somehow connected to it. The blonde heard a gasp from Frisk, getting him to turn and saw a red heart hovering from her chest as well. See those hearts? Those are your souls, the very culmination of your being, Flowey explained. Our souls. Frisk was a bit frightened at the prospect of this. That's right, your soul starts off weak but it can grow stronger if you gain lots of LV. LV, what is that? Asked Naruto. Why love, of course. Being the nice guy I am, I can share some love with you too, said Flowey with a wink. A cluster of white pellets appeared above his head. In here, we share love through white friendliness pellets. So be sure to catch them all. He sent the pellets towards them. Frisk looked like she was about to touch them when Naruto suddenly grabbed her arm and pulled her out of the way, much to their surprise. Now why did you go and do that? Because I've been on to you the whole time, said Naruto with a frown. What do you mean? Asked Frisk confusedly. If those hearts are really our souls, then we've got to be careful of anything happening to them since they're what we need to live. Another is that he was trying to misdirect us with that vague explanation of his, and lastly, Naruto gestured to Nikken, who has been growling at Flowey the entire time. Nikken has been growling at you, which meant that there's something about you that he doesn't like at all. Is that so? Flowey's smile suddenly changed from one of friendliness to that of insanity. You aren't as dumb as I thought. Naruto along with Frisk and Nikken found themselves surrounded by more of the pellets with no way of escape. Naruto drew out his Bokken with his mind racing for a way out of this. In this world, it's kill or be killed. Flowey cackled madly as he was about to attack when a fireball slammed into him and sent him flying with the pellets disappearing. What a terrible creature, torturing such poor innocent youths. Someone appeared before them, revealing to be a tall anthropomorphic white-furred female Nubian goat with droopy ears and short horns along with paws at the end of her limbs. She has a pair of visible fangs which seem to blend in with her fur and long eyelashes. She wears a long purple robe which displays the symbol which Naruto saw earlier on the doorway before entering. The being noticed the trio being rather wary of here and raised her hands in a placating manner. Ah, do not be afraid. I mean no harm. Who are you? Asked Frisk, standing behind Naruto with the Bokken in his hands. I am Toriel, the caretaker of these ruins. I come here every day to see if anyone has fallen. The now named Toriel explained. You two are the first pair of humans to appear here in a very long time. Naruto stared at her for any signs of deception and saw that there weren't any, plus Nikken wasn't acting wary around her either, so he decided to give her the benefit of the doubt for now and sheathed his Bokken with their souls returning to their bodies. Okay, but can you help us find a way out of here? Toriel nodded with a gentle smile. Why certainly, just follow me so I can lead you through the catacombs. The group followed Toriel into the next room, which differs from the previous rooms due to the purple decor. They approach a pair of stairs leading up to a doorway to another room with red leaves in between them. Naruto and Frisk noticed a golden star glowing and curiously approached it. I wonder what this is, said Naruto, cautiously touching the star. Then a black dialogue box appeared before them. The shadow of the ruins looms above, filling you with determination. HP fully restored. Save. Yes/no. Blinking in confusion, Naruto chose yes and heard a beep before seeing the words file saved and the dialogue box disappeared. What just happened? Asked Frisk. I don't know, Frisk, and I get the feeling that there's more to the legends than we thought, said Naruto. Naruto, Frisk and Nikken follow Toriel into the first room of the building, where the former took note of 6 switches on the ground to the right with a yellow lever next to a purple door which appears to be locked. Toriel turned towards the trio and spoke. Welcome to your new home, innocent ones. Allow me to educate you in the operation of the ruins. She then stepped on the switches in a pattern with them, noting that she didn't step on the middle switches before pulling the lever with the purple door opening. These ruins are full of puzzles, ancient fusions of diversion and door keys. One must solve them to move from room to room. You need to adjust yourselves to the sight of them. Okay, said Frisk in understanding while Naruto simply nodded. Then they followed her into the next room, which is much larger and even has 2 separate streams with wooden bridges built over them. To make your way through here, you two will need to flip several switches, though you needn't worry as I have clearly labeled them, said Toriel before walking to the other side of the room with them following. They crossed the first bridge and saw the lever on the wall with arrow signs pointed at it, which Frisk went over to flip and Toriel nodded in approval. They crossed the second bridge to find two levers this time, but the labels pointed at the one on the left for Naruto to flip as well. They saw the spikes blocking the way ahead of them sink back to the ground. Splendid, I'm proud of you too. Now follow me to the next room. Toriel led them to a room where they came across what appears to be a dummy. As a human living in the underground, there are monsters that may attack you, so you must be well prepared to defend yourselves. How do we do that? Asked Naruto, having a feeling that he would be using his Bakken a lot when here. It goes like this: a fight starts the moment the monster attacks. Perform unaggressive actions towards them to resolve conflicts. Give it a try with that dummy over there. Toriel pointed at said dummy. I'll give it a try. Frisk approached the dummy and her soul emerged from her chest. Hello there, I'm Frisk and it's really nice to meet you. Toriel smiled at her action. Very well done, Frisk. She turned to Naruto. I believe it's your turn. I don't know, feels kinda weird. Naruto rubbed the back of his head with a look of uncertainty. Frisk walked up to him and shyly grabbed his other hand. It's okay, Naruto, there's no harm in trying, said Frisk. Sigh. Okay, I'll give it a go. Naruto approached the dummy with Nikken next to him as his soul emerged from within. Then he felt something flow through his mind as if asking, what will you do? Fight. Act item mercy. Naruto mentally choose ACT and use check to identify the dummy. A cotton heart and a button eye. You are the apple of my eye. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you and I hope that we can get along, said Naruto. You won. Earned 0 XP and 0 gold. Weird, but I got the gist of it. Kinda like a video game but in real life. Better watch my step though, thought Naruto before turning to see Toriel and Frisk smiling at him. You have performed just as well, Naruto, come along now. They went into the next room, which seemed a bit odd to Naruto but moved on. They were halfway when something appeared in between them which caused Naruto and Frisk's souls to emerge. A closer look reveals to be a frog-like monster, so they used ACT to check up on it. Frogget, life is difficult for this enemy. Oh, how sad. I hope you're doing well, said Frisk in sympathy, with Naruto nodding in agreement and Nikken whined a bit. The frogget seemed to understand what they were saying but felt a bit happy, but then it felt a chill crawl up its spine and looked back to see Toriel giving it quite a stern look before hopping away quickly. You won. Earned 0 XP and 0 gold. Sorry about that, let us continue towards the next puzzle, said Toriel before taking them to the next part of the room, which has a long row of spikes bordered by water. This is the puzzle, but here, take my hand and please wait here for me, Naruto. Toriel took Frisk's hand and began leading her through the spikes, which sink to the ground and rise behind them as they walked in a certain pattern until reaching the other side. Toriel was about to go back for Naruto when she saw him already halfway through the spikes with Nikken in his arms and soon arriving next to them. I asked you to wait for me, said Toriel with a small frown. I know, but I had figured out how the puzzle works. I saw a plaque on the wall which said, the western room is the eastern room's blueprint. I recalled the path's pattern when we came in and how you walked through the spikes confirmed it, Naruto explained. Frisk was in awe of the blonde. Oh my, you're certainly an interesting child, said Toriel. They went to the next room. You have done well so far. However, I have a difficult request to ask of you too. What is it? Asked Frisk. I would like you to reach the end of the room by yourselves. Toriel suddenly clapped her hands together to release a bright flash of light which forced them to close their eyes until it faded to reveal that she was nowhere to be seen. Frisk looked around in worry. Where did she go? Don't know, but she said that we should reach the other side of the room. Just stay close to me while we move, said Naruto, placing a hand on his Bakken. Oh, okay. They cautiously walked along the pathway while keeping an eye out for anything. They reached the end of the room when Nikken's ears perked up and he sniffed the air a couple of times before running over to a large white pillar and barked while wagging his tail. Toriel emerged from behind, looking a bit flustered. Looks like you found me, little one, said Toriel with a smile, and Nikken responded with a bark. You didn't really leave, said Naruto, relaxing a bit. Indeed I didn't, I wanted to test your independence and you have proven to be quite so. There is something I must attend to, so you'll be alone for some time. So I would like for you to remain here till I return. Toriel reached into her robe and brought out a cell phone. Naruto quirked an eyebrow at how old the model is. You can use this cell phone to call for help, so please be good. Okay, said Frisk before watching Toriel leave the room. They all waited in the room for about 5 minutes when the phone rang and Frisk answered it. Hello? This is Toriel, my errands are taking longer than I thought, so could you wait for 5 more minutes please? Asked Toriel apologetically. We'll wait, said Frisk before ending the call. Then after another 5 minutes there was a second call. This is Toriel, I found what I was looking for, but a small white puppy snatched it away before I could take it, which is rather odd. It will take a little longer, so please understand, said Toriel before ending the call. Naruto then spoke, maybe we should continue on. But Toriel asked us to wait to help with the puzzles, said Frisk confusedly. I'm sure we can manage, there were plaques giving hints before and I'm pretty sure that same would be for the other puzzle rooms, so we can meet Toriel-san halfway. Are you sure? Yeah, if not then we'll come back here and wait. Oh okay. The trio left the room into another with red leaves covering several parts of the park. Naruto saw the golden star from before and went over to touch it, instantly healing himself and others. Then the black dialogue box appeared before them. Playfully crinkling through the leaves fills you with determination. HP fully restored. Save. Yes/no. After saving, they went to the left and entered a small room where a small white pedestal stood at the center with a bowl of candy placed atop it. There was a sign which said, pick one, so Naruto took out 3 pieces to place in his waist pack before they left the room into the previous one. They were just about to go through the other pathway when a monster appeared before them and they used ACT to check on it. Whim-san, this monster is too sensitive to fight. Wondering what it meant, Naruto raised a hand to scratch the back of his head when Whim-san suddenly burst into tears, surprising them. Frisk was quick to console the monster. Then it murmured an apology before flying away while they earned 2 gold. On to the next room. Naruto was walking ahead when the ground beneath his feet gave way and he fell down to land on a heap of red leaves which softened his fall. Naruto, are you okay? Frisk called out worriedly. I'm fine. Naruto stood up and looked around to find 2 doorways with one in front and the other behind him. I think I found a way out. He went through the front doorway and climbed up a chute to the top and found himself at the other side. It seems that you'll need to drop down the hole to climb back up this way. I see, then I'll give it a try. Frisk carried Nikken and dropped through the hole, then soon emerged through the chute next to Naruto. Upon entering the next room, there was a call from Toriel which Frisk answered. This is Toriel, for no reason whatsoever. Which would you prefer, butterscotch or cinnamon? Naruto looked thoughtful before responding, I wouldn't mind butterscotch. Me too, said Frisk. Oh okay then, I was just being a bit curious is all, said Toriel before ending the call. Naruto looked around to see that the path ahead is blocked with spikes and located the plaque to read off it. 3 out of 4 gray rocks recommend you push them. He looked to see a medium-sized rock nearby with a white tile ahead and got the idea. Naruto went on to push the rock onto the tile to deactivate the spikes for them. Then Toriel called once again. I'm also curious to ask if you two have any allergies, asked Toriel. Frisk looked to see Naruto shake his head before responding, no, neither of us have any. Oh, just wondering. Okay, bye mom. Frisk's eyes widened at what she just said along with Naruto being just as surprised. Toriel even gasped from the other end of the line. Did you just call me mom? Asked Toriel. I am well yes, said Frisk timidly, waiting to get scolded. Well, I suppose if it would make you happy to call me mother, then you can call me whatever you like, said Toriel happily before ending the call. Frisk turned to see Naruto smiling and thought he was going to tease her when he spoke. I guess Toriel-san gives off the feeling of a mother. She reminds me of my mom, very kind and caring but can be scary when angry. Frisk was surprised but then nodded happily. They went into the next room to find numerous cracks on the floor. Naruto looked around for a plaque and found none nearby, so he decided to try his luck and ventured after telling Frisk and Nicken to stay behind. He moved on ahead until stepping on a crack which collapsed for him to drop down and land on the leaves below. The blonde got up and saw a plaque nearby and went over to read it as it said, "Please don't step on the leaves." Naruto quirked an eyebrow in confusion, "But I didn't step on any leaves until I feel through the cracked floor. Hang on." He looked around and took note of the way the leaves were arranged and looked at the ceiling, so that's what it meant. He made his way back up the chute to meet up with the others. "I figured a way through here, so I need you to stay close to me." Receiving a nod of affirmation, Naruto guided them through the cracked floor while turning left and right from time to time until they safely reached the other room where are 3 rocks and 3 tiles time along with a row of spikes blocking their way. "Should we push the rocks here too?" asked Frisk. "Yeah, just need to choose which." "I'll go with the left one," said Naruto. "I think I'll take the right one." Frisk went to push said rock when it actually spoke up, surprising her. "Whoa there, partner, who said you could push me around?" asked the rock. "Sorry, I just wanted to move you a bit so we can unblock the way," said Frisk. "In that case, I'll do it just for you." The rock moved itself forward a bit, but not enough to reach the tile. "Could you move a bit further please?" "Okay, how about this?" The rock moved to the left. "Sorry, but it's not the right way." "I see, I think I got it." It now moved itself all the way to the tile, deactivating the spikes. "Thank you, but could you remain there till we cross over?" said Frisk politely. "Very well then, you're certainly giving me a workout." The room they into had another save point along with a table with a piece of cheese, and Nicken found a mouse hole nearby. Naruto went to interact with the save point for the black dialogue box to appear. "Knowing the mouse might one day leave the hole to get the cheese fills you with determination. HP fully restored. Save. Yes/no. Afterwards, they moved onwards to come across what appears to be a cartoony-looking ghost with a long white body, 2 eyes with black sclerae, white pupils and a mouth. The ghost happens to be lying in the middle of the narrow pathway while making loud snoring sounds as if asleep, but they can clearly see that it's wide awake. "How do we get past here, Naruto?" asked Frisk. "I guess we'll have to convince it to move." No sooner did Naruto say that, the ghost rose from the ground to face them and their souls emerged. Naruto used ACT to check up on the ghost. Napstablook. "This monster doesn't seem to have a sense of humor." "That sounds pretty mean," said Frisk, smiling at Napstablook patiently. "Heh," the ghost seemed a bit happier than before from seeing her smile. "True, let me try something." "Why do ghosts like to ride elevators?" "'Cause it raises their spirits," Naruto said he heard from somewhere on the internet. Heh heh, Napstablook chuckled a bit. "Let me try something." The ghost started crying with the tears flowing upwards and forming a white top hat on his head. "I call it Dapper Blook." "It really looks nice on you," Frisk complimented, making Napstablook smile even more. "Oh gee, I usually come to the ruins where there's nobody around, but today I met someone nice." "Oh, I'm rambling again, let me get out of the way and I hope we meet again if you don't mind, that is." Napstablook then faded away from their sight. The trio moved on and came across 2 doorways and chose the one ahead into a room when they saw 2 spiderwebs with one bigger than the other with a sign saying, "Spider Bake Sale. All proceeds go to real spiders." Sounds like fundraising to me," said Naruto thoughtfully. "Maybe we could help them, just to show we're nice when we meet them," Frisk suggested. "You got a point there, the lesser the conflicts, the better for everyone." Naruto reached into his pocket and brought out 7G where they earned from the monster encounters, and having spared them then dropped into the jar. Some spiders crawled down and held out a donut to him. He reluctantly took the spider donut and placed it inside of the waste pack. They left the room and went the other way to a much larger room with 6 cracks on the floor and the doorway being blocked by spikes as always. They found a plaque and went to read it. "There is just one SWCH. "What do you make of it?" asked Frisk. Well, we both know by now that the cracked floors led down to lower floors. I'm sure the SWCH to the spikes must be in one of the rooms below us," Naruto spoke thoughtfully. "Then I'll go and look for it over there." Frisk scampered off before Naruto could say anything else. Guess I'll check over here then. Naruto dropped down the hole closest to him only to encounter a Vegetoid and managed to resolve the conflict before climbing back up the chute to check the next one and was able to find the lever which he flipped to deactivate the spikes before climbing back up to find Frisk and Nicken waiting. I was able to find the SWCH. I know, I ended up finding Napstablook lying around and something else, said Frisk with a small pout. Naruto noticed that she was wearing a red faded ribbon tied to her hair in a bow. You found a ribbon, it really looks nice on you, said Naruto with a soft smile. Frisk blushed from the compliment and looked to the ground shyly. Really? Thank you. You're welcome, now let's keep going. I think we're getting deeper inside the ruins. Moving further inside they were in a room which has 3 large white pillars with oddly shaped objects of 3 colors being blue, green and red adjacent to them. They read off the plaque which said, "The far door is not an exit, it simply marks a rotation in perspective." Reading this confused them especially since the spikes are deactivated, so they decided to move on. Things got cur as they noticed that the room is similar to the previous one, albeit the colored switches were in a different position. They read the plaque which said, "If you can read this, press the blue SWCH." The duo did so to deactivated the spikes to continued onwards into the next room resembles the last 2 with the plaque telling to press the red SWCH to open up the path. At this point they weren't surprised that room is the same as the others with the plaque having to press the green SWCH before the relief at finally leaving that puzzling place. Naruto, Frisk and Nicken arrived at a tall leafless tree after taking an overall view of the ruins from an overlook and finding a toy knife when they heard a familiar voice from behind the tree. Oh my goodness, I didn't want to take so long as I have, Toriel muttered to herself as she brought out her cell phone to call Frisk only to be surprised to hear the phone of said person ring so close to her and looked around the tree to see Naruto and Frisk waving at her. How did you get here, my children? We worked together to solve the puzzles. Naruto's very smart, said Frisk in admiration. Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly and Nicken wagged his tail happily. For you two to come unscathed, impressive, but still, Toriel murmured softly before snapping back into focus. Anyways, come along little ones. Toriel led them towards a house and Naruto saw a save point which he went to access firsthand. Seeing such a cute and tidy house in the ruins gives you determination. HP fully restored. Save. Yes/no. After confirming his save, Naruto followed after the others into the house and was a bit surprised to see that it even feels cozier on the inside as he looked around the place, even reminding him of his home back on the surface. He picked up the scent of something being cooked. It seems you have noticed, I'm baking butterscotch cinnamon pie in the kitchen. I thought we could celebrate your arrival, and I have another surprise for you. Toriel beckoned them to follow her down the hall and stopped before a door. This is a room of your own, I hope you two would like. Toriel patted Frisk softly on the head with the girls smiling in contentment. Naruto could tell that both of them are happy. It triggered a memory of when he was younger and was slowly drifting off to sleep after drawing pictures all day with crayons. Then his mom would carry him in her arms to his room and all the while muttering sweet words into his ears. He snapped back into focus when he smelled something in the air again. Isn't something burning right now? Asked Naruto curiously. Oh dear, the pie. You go ahead and make yourselves at home while I attend to it. Toriel made her way to the kitchen while Naruto along with Frisk and Nicken went inside. Wow, this place looks nice, said Frisk as they looked around the children's room and examined the things around them. Naruto took out his phone to look at the time and saw that it was getting late. Yeah, let's take a bath and turn in for the night. You go first, said Naruto. Okay, Frisk checked the closet and found a towel inside before leaving the room to go and take a bath. Naruto sat on one of the beds and Nicken curled up next to him as he looked back on everything that had happened ever since he fell into the hole with Frisk, the encounter with monsters, the puzzles, the save points and so much more. He let out a sad sigh, knowing full well that his mom would be worried to death in her search for him. Frisk soon returned and he went to bathe as well before going to bed for a restful sleep. Please wake up. You have to stay determined. You are the future of humans and monsters. The next day, Naruto woke up with a groan and sat up on the bed with the sleepiness gradually fading away. He noticed that Frisk and Nicken were nowhere to be seen and was getting worried when he saw a slice of pie on a plate next to another empty plate on the floor along with a note. He picked it up to read, "Good morning Naruto, I tried to wake you up but you were deeply asleep so I left you to spend time with Toriel. Nicken also decided to go exploring a bit too. Try out the pie she left for us, it tastes amazing. Frisk." Naruto chuckled before placing the note down to eat the pie and was taken by surprise at how delicious it is. He took a shower and put on his clothes which were cleaned before putting on his waist pack but left the bokken behind for now. I wonder what that dream was all about, thought Naruto before entering the living room to find Toriel sitting on a couch next to the fireplace with reading glasses on and a book in her hands, and Frisk was sitting on the carpet. Both perked up when they saw the blonde enter. "Up already I see," said Toriel. "Good morning everyone," said Naruto. Frisk smiled in response, "Morning Naruto, Toriel wants to show us a lot of things and even wants to teach us." Toriel appeared flustered from the statement, "Well, I've always wanted to be a teacher for as long as I can remember since it's been a dream of mine." "That's a nice aspiration, there's something I want to ask about." "What is it?" "Is there a way out of the ruins so we can find our way back home?" asked Naruto. "Why ask such a question when you are already home?" "No need to worry your head about such things," said Toriel. Naruto frowned a bit, especially since she wasn't even looking at him when she spoke. "Okay then, I'll step out for a bit to look for Nicken and come back." "Very well, please be careful though." Naruto nodded in affirmation before leaving the room and went out of the house to standing at the outlook to gaze at the ruins once more. He thought back to the conversation and realized that she neither denied nor confirmed his question, which meant that she purposely dodged the question. He was brought out of his musing by the sound of barking and turned around to see Nicken running up to him and panting happily. "Hey there buddy, what have you been up to?" Naruto knelt down to pat the wolf pup on the head. The pup wagged his tail then walked but stopped to look back at him. "Oh, you want me to follow you?" Nicken barked in affirmation, so he followed the wolf pup to the large leafless tree and saw him trying to jump up at something, then took note of a hole in the tree. "You smelt something in there?" Naruto brought out his phone and turned on the torchlight to peer inside of it. He caught sight of something and made sure that it wasn't anything potentially harmful before reaching inside. It took him a couple of tries till he finally got a hold of the mystery item and brought it out to see what it is. "What's this, some sort of book?" In Naruto's hand is a book with a silver hardcover with a pentagram symbol on it, albeit covered in dirt. Another oddity is that it is wrapped up in small chains which doesn't have any signs of rust on them. I wonder what's written inside that someone would go to the point of locking it up with chains and hide it. "I'll think on it later, let's head on back." Nicken, he placed the chained book into the waist pack, unaware that it glowed for a few moments before returning to normal. They headed back inside the house, but no sooner did they enter that they saw Toriel walk past them hurriedly and went down the stairs. He caught sight of a strange look in her eyes before going to the living room to find Frisk looking a bit concerned. "What's the matter Frisk?" asked Naruto. "Well, Toriel and I were talking, then I asked if there really is a way out of the ruins. Then she said that she had something to do and left in a hurry," Frisk replied. "Look underneath the underneath." The words of Kakashi Hatake, who is one of his father's students in the past, echoed in Naruto's mind as he looked back where he came from with a frown. "We're following after her, I suspect that she's not telling us what we need to know." Frisk nodded with hesitance. "Oh okay Naruto." They went to the children's room for Naruto to pick up his bokken before going down the stairs to the basement, which is more of a long corridor. The trio move along it and soon caught to Toriel at the end of the corridor with a large door made of stone before them. She didn't turn around but spoke up. "You wish to know how to return home, do you not? This door is a one-way exit out of the ruins to the rest of the underground. I intend to destroy it so no one would ever leave." Naruto and Frisk were shocked to hear of this. The latter spoke up in disbelief, "But why?" Toriel lowered her head. "Every human that falls here meet the same fate. They come, they leave, they die. I've seen it too many times. I refuse to let them Askari take your lives as well. Please return to your room, I am trying to protect you." "I understand, but still, we need to go," said Naruto, feeling uncomfortable about all this. "Humph, you're just like all the rest. There is only one solution to this. Toriel turned around to face them with a stern expression, prove yourselves, prove to me that you're strong enough to survive. Then Naruto and Frisk's souls emerged, sadly telling them what is about to happen. Toriel-san, please, we don't want to fight, Naruto pleaded with the kind caretaker. But she raised her hand into the air and small fireballs fell from above towards them. Naruto quickly scooped up Frisk into his arms and ran from the falling fireballs, darting from left to right to prevent their souls from getting hit until they dissipated. They hesitantly used ACT to check on her. Toriel knows best for you. Toriel held her paw up to form a fireball and threw it towards them. Naruto pushed Frisk out of the way before jumping backwards to avoid being hit. He wanted to use his Bakken to defend but knows that doing so would lead to it getting burnt to ashes. Frisk got up and looked at Toriel in desperation. Please stop, we don't want to hurt you, said Frisk sadly. Toriel refused to answer and attacked once more by swinging her paw in an arc to launch a row of fireballs towards her. Frisk ducked out of the way but the fireballs bounced off the walls towards. A small blur tackled Frisk to the ground, revealing to be Nikken having helped her with the wolf pup looking at Toriel with a sad whine. Naruto gritted his teeth as he tried to figure out a way to stop this fight without anyone getting hurt. He felt that Toriel was about to launch a magic attack which was soon confirmed as she sent twin streams of fireballs towards him in a crisscrossing pattern. Naruto focused on the incoming attack, unaware of a flash of white from his left eye as he dashed forward, then stopped with the flames passing by him without inflicting a burn. What are you doing? Fight or run away? Toriel demanded. We won't fight you, Toriel-san, you are not our enemy. Naruto refuted strongly. Toriel frowned and caused fireballs to fall from above once more, forcing the trio to evade them the best they can. Naruto saw one of the fireballs about to hit Frisk and quickly pushed her out of the way but got hit in the arm instead. He gritted his teeth while patting the flame away before it burnt through the white wraps. He turned to Toriel, who flinched and looked away. Stop it, stop looking at me that way, said Toriel, but one could detect the trace of uncertainty in her voice. Frisk and Nikken ran over to check on Naruto in worry, with the former speaking, this fight doesn't have any meaning, please stop this. Go away. Toriel launched many fireballs from her paws but her heart wasn't truly into the attack, for none of the fiery attacks were anywhere close to hitting them. She tried forcing herself to make them fight back, but she just couldn't bring herself to continue anymore. Toriel looked to them with a small but pleading smiling on her face, hoping from the bottom of her heart that they would listen to her for once and understand the reason for her actions. I know you want to go home, but I promise I will take good care of you here. I know we don't have much, but we can have a good life here. Toriel looked down to the ground in sadness. Why are you making this so difficult? Please, go upstairs. Naruto was silent for a moment before responding, I'm sorry, but we can't stay here. Toriel chuckled softly, haha, pathetic, is it not? I cannot even save a single child. Frisk was quick to refute that thought of self-loathing. It's not your fault, you have been nothing but kind to us ever since we met. It is to the point that I actually called you Mom, but... No, I understand, you both wouldn't have been happy if I had trapped you here in the ruins. This place is too small once you get used to the and isn't the right place to grow up. My expectations, my fear for you, my children, I will put them aside. Naruto got up from the ground and spoke up, Toriel-san, one of the reasons why I want to leave the ruins and return to the surface is because of my mom. You're so much like her, kind and caring while at times stern and strong, it was as if you're her monster counterpart. But the thought of her being worried to death because she couldn't find me is what is driving me to leave. I see, if you truly wish to leave then I won't stop you. However, when you leave, Toriel knelt down before the two and embraced them tightly, please do not come back. Frisk gasped and held on even more tightly to Toriel as she continued to speak, you two have proven to be very interesting children, especially you Naruto. I could see that you have been very protective of Frisk and Nikken ever since you fell into the underground. The wooden sword on you shows that you are well versed in the art of the sword but still willing to use peaceful methods first. I want you to promise me that you would protect Frisk and yourself from Askari. Don't let his plans become a reality. Naruto closed his eyes and quietly responded, I promise Toriel obeison. What does obeisant mean? It means older woman or aunt. I may have my mom but I would be happy to have you as my auntie, said Naruto with a small smile. Toriel chuckled sadly, a mom and an aunt, you two are really making it difficult to let go. We know sorry. With great reluctance, Toriel broke off from the hug to see Frisk barely holding back the tears, Naruto gazing at her with his ocean blue eyes full of determination, and Nikken standing next to him with his ears lowered and whining sadly. Goodbye my dear children, said Toriel. Goodbye Toriel obeison, said Naruto. Frisk sniffled, goodbye mom. Toriel walked past them back towards the house, then she paused to look over her shoulder at them before resuming her walk with a heavy heart, for those two managed to worm their way into her heart just like them. Naruto watched her leave before letting a sad sigh before turning to Frisk, come on Frisk, let's go. He only got a sniffle in response, but she walked alongside as they went through the door and were walking through another corridor. Nothing was said as they walked, but Naruto finally had enough of the silence and spoke up, I know you're sad Frisk, but I've been thinking of something. Frisk was still silent. Maybe when we find a way to the surface we could return and bring Toriel obeison with us. Exclamation point. Frisk was now looking at him in surprise. She doesn't need to say it, but we could tell that she's been lonely all this time, someone as nice as her shouldn't be feeling that way. But she said that we shouldn't come back, Frisk whimpered. Naruto took her hand into his, interlinking their fingers together with a foxy grin, well we hadn't exactly been listening to everything that she said. Besides, she said that she always wanted to be a teacher, so this could be our way of gratitude for taking care of us. Frisk was soon smiling and walking with more cheer in her steps, you're right, let's do our best. Naruto nodded in affirmation and Nikken barked happily. The duo reached the end of the corridor into a dark room with a small illuminated patch of green grass, someone was there waiting for them. Clever, very clever. Flowy, Naruto stood protectively in front of Frisk with a hand on his Bakken and Nikken was growling next to him, what do you want from us? You think you're so smart, don't you? In this world, it's kill or be killed. We won't kill anyone, there's no reason to, said Frisk with a small frown. So you decided to play by your own rules and succeeded in sparing a single person, but what if you were being pursued by a relentless killer? Would you continue to spare or kill out of frustration? We don't have to listen to you, said Naruto in annoyance. Maybe not, but I'll wait till you give up on this world and let me inherit the power to control it. What power, what are you talking about? Asked Frisk confusedly. The power to reshape the world purely by your own determination. The ability to play God. The ability to save. I thought I was the only with that power, but apparently your desires override mine. Well, enjoy that power while you can, 'cause I'll be watching, Flowy cackled madly before sinking back into the ground. Naruto. Frisk looked at the blonde in concern. Said person's mind was racing, recalling the save points he had been interacting and the implications. Causing him to gulp with nervousness. This power is definitely not the kind to be trifled with, he may not know exactly how he got that power, but he can't let someone like Flowy regain it. Let's go Frisk, I just need to be careful with how I use this save power while we're here, said Naruto calmly. Frisk held his hand this time as a way of silently giving her support, with Naruto nodding in gratitude. Together, they went through the last doorway and into the unknown. Naruto along with Frisk and Nikken finally reached the end of the tunnel and exited to find themselves in a whole new landscape, being a snowfield and a forest of tall coniferous trees being the background, which made it hard for them to see beyond it besides the snowy path laid before them. Naruto looked behind to see the stone doors close themselves shut, saddening him at what it implied before snapping himself back into focus. Naruto shivered slightly while letting a breath of vapor escape from his mouth. Whoa, it's kinda chilly out here. Are you okay Frisk? A little cold, but I'll be fine, said Frisk, rubbing her hands together to warm them up. Nikken barked to show that he was okay thanks to his fur. Alright then, let's move. Maybe we could find a settlement and get something warm. They began to walk along the snowy path through the forest with the wind whispering through the trees amidst the silence. They passed over a tough-looking tree branch lying in the middle of the trail. Suddenly there was a loud cracking sound from behind, making the group spin round to see that the branch has been snapped in half as if something stepped on it, but the problem was that there was no sign of the cause. What could have broken it? Asked Frisk worriedly. Don't know, but I'm getting the feeling that we're being watched, said Naruto with a small frown. The trio resumed their trek, albeit felt tense as there were now times they could hear feet trudging through the snow behind but couldn't see who it is every time they looked back until reaching a small wooden bridge with a strangely built gateway over it and were about to cross when a voice suddenly called out to the group from behind, startling them. Humans and pup, don't you know how to greet a new pal? They spun round with Naruto placing a hand on the handle of his Bakken to see who it is. Before them is a short paunchy skeleton with a wide toothy grin and large eye sockets which they could see white pupils. He wears an unzipped blue hoodie over a white shirt, black shorts with white lining, and a pair of salmon-colored slippers. Put it there buckos, it's only polite for one to have a handshake with someone they just met. First impressions are important after all, said the skeleton stretching out a hand towards them. Naruto and Frisk were unsure at first due to what Toriel warned them about the monsters in the underground, but then again, their souls haven't emerged just yet to signal a fight, plus Nikken isn't snarling at Sans unlike with Flowey. Deciding to let their guard slightly, Frisk reached out to shake the skeleton's hand only for a loud farting sound to be heard. Oh my! Frisk pulled back in surprise while Naruto blinked and Nikken tilted his head in confusion. The skeleton chuckled in amusement, he, the old whoopee cushion in the hand trick, it's always funny. I'm Sans the skeleton. Naruto snapped back into focus after realizing that it was a small prank. He found it funny but kept quiet since he noticed that Frisk felt a bit embarrassed before speaking up. My name Naruto, she's Frisk and this is my little buddy Nikken. Nice to meet you Sans. Hello, said Frisk with a small wave in greeting. Same here, to be honest, I'm supposed to be on a lookout for humans but you know, Sans shrugged his shoulders, I don't really feel up to it. That's cool, said Naruto with a quirked eyebrow. The skeleton reminded him of someone for a weird reason. But my brother Papyrus on the other hand, he's a human hunting fanatic. Sans looked past them before speaking up again, I think I see him over there and just got an idea. What's the idea? Asked Frisk curiously. I'm sure you'll like it. Just go across the bridge and through the gate. My brother sort of built it with wide gaps, said Sans as he hustled the trio across the bridge to a clearing where they saw a lamp and a sentry station. Quick, hide behind that conveniently shaped lamp and you hid at my station with your pup. Okay then, Naruto picked up Nikken and went to hid at the sentry station, although he couldn't help but find it so coincidental that the lamp is shaped just like Frisk when she hid behind it. He heard footsteps approach and cautiously peeked over to get a view of who it is. Walking up to Sans, is a taller skeleton with a more vertical and geometric skull compared to Sans. He wears an outfit comprising white chest plate with golden trim along with a short orange-red cape, a pair of coquelicot gloves with golden trims, blue briefs with a golden belt and a pair of knee-high coquelicot boots. Sup bro? Asked Sans with his ever-present grin. Papyrus wasn't amused however, you know what's sup, brother. It's 8 days and you still haven't recalibrated your puzzles. You just hang around outside your station, what are you even doing? Staring at this lamp over here, it's really cool. Care to have a look? Asked Sans. No. I don't have time for that. Papyrus stamped his foot on the ground in frustration, what if a human comes here? I have to be ready. I will be the one, I must be the one to capture a human. Then he struck a pose with his cape billowing in a non-existent wind. When I succeed, then I, the great Papyrus, will finally get my dues. To join the royal guards, respect, recognition, and everyone would want to be my friend. Sans looked thoughtful at that, then maybe this lamp can help you with its companions. Sans, you're not helping. You lazybones. All you do is sit around and boondoggle, you're getting lazier by the day. Hey, I do a ton of work skill ton, said Sans with a wink, making Naruto smile in amusement at the pun. Sans. Come on, you're smiling. I know and I hate it. Why does someone as great as I am, have to do so much to get recognized? Sounds to me like you have been working yourself to the bone. Papyrus shook his head in exasperation. Ugh, just work your puzzles and try to put some more backbone into it. Nye heh 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 heh. He walked away from the clearing but stopped. Heh, then he resumed walking. Okay, you can come out now. The coast is clear, said Sans. Naruto and Frisk came out of their hiding places. That was amusing, said Naruto with a smirk while Frisk giggled. Sans shrugged his shoulders. I try, best you get out of here before he comes back. Unless you want to sit down to listen to more of my hilarious puns. Maybe later, since we need to get a move on, said Naruto. Actually, can I bother you for a favor? Asked Sans. What is it? Asked Frisk curiously. My brother's been down lately since he's never seen a human before and you might just make his day. You needn't worry as he's not dangerous even if he tries to be. Well, you did help us out so far, so we'll take your word for it and keep an eye out, said Naruto, a shrug of his shoulders. That's great, I'll meet you up ahead. Sans turned around and walked in the direction which they had come from. I don't understand, I thought he said that he would meet us up ahead, so why is he going back the same way we came? Asked Frisk confusedly. Naruto rubbed the back of his head. I have no idea, we could think about it later. The group finally exited from the forest to find themselves in a more friendly scenery surrounded by pine trees covered in snow. They moved on to come across two pathways branching out along with a save point and a box with a sign next to it. Naruto went on to interact with the save point. The convenience of that lamp still fills you with determination. Save? Yes/no. He confirmed his save and went over to Frisk and Nicken, who are currently looking at the box in curiosity. He looked at the sign next to the box and read off what was written on it. This is a box, you can put an item inside or take it out. The same box will appear later, so don't worry about coming back. Sincerely, a box lover. Does it mean that we can put something inside then take it from another box elsewhere? Asked Frisk. That's pretty much the case, we just need to make sure that what we put inside is something important but would need at a later time. Let's take a look inside. Naruto opened the box and peered inside, then he reached in and took out what appears to be a pair of leather gloves. Naruto felt information flow into his mind. Tough gloves, a pair of worn leather gloves for five-fingered folks. This must have belonged to a human once, thought Naruto sadly, then he recalled something and turned to Frisk. Here, put these on. They should keep your hands warm. Oh, thank you. Frisk smiled shyly at the blonde's kind gesture as she put on the gloves and soon felt warmer compared to when she was without them. They were about to move on when a monster resembling a drake with a snowflake-like design appeared before them and their souls emerged from their bodies to signal a fight. The duo chose ACT and followed up with check to identify the monster. Snowdrake. This teen fights to keep an active audience. Ice, to meet you, said Snowdrake with an average pun. Crescent-shaped projectiles appeared and were launched at them. Naruto and the others dodged them until the attack ended. That's a pretty good joke, I know a good one. Wanna hear it? Said Naruto. Sure, said the monster, feeling curious. Why did the boy keep his trumpet in the freezer? Because he liked cool BGM. Frisk giggled. That's funny. I gotta admit it is a good one, my dad never used that, said Snowdrake. Goes to show that the world of jokes is vast, you just need to go for it. Then I'll do just that, thanks. Snowdrake left the clearing with a spring in his step and they were rewarded with 12 gold before moving on. Naruto and Frisk soon came across Sans and Papyrus having a conversation a bit ahead of them. The skeleton brothers took notice of them and the atmosphere was rather silence with the stare-off. Oh my god. Sans, are those humans over there and with a dog? Asked Papyrus with bated breath. Sans looked with a confused expression. Yo, I think it's actually a rock. Oh, Papyrus slumped in disappointment. But what are those in front of it? Papyrus looked at Naruto and Frisk before becoming excited once more. Oh my god, he leaned to whisper at Sans, are those humans? Yup, Sans whispered. Oh my god. I finally did it, Sans. Undine well I'll be so popular. I'll be recognized. Papyrus calmed himself before facing the children with his chest puffed out. Humans hear me, for I, the great Papyrus, shall capture you. Then you shall be delivered to the capital and I'm not sure what happens next. However, continue at your own peril. Nye he 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 he, he ran off with a cackle. Well, that went well. You needn't worry though, I'll be sure to keep an eye socket out for you, said Sans before following after his currently excited brother. I wonder what will happen next. Naruto wondered, rubbing the back of his head while Frisk shrugged when her cell phone began to ring, so she answered it in hopes that it was Toriel, but a different voice spoke. I'd like to order a pizza. With the toppings are I have them copied, I'll just paste them to you. Huh. Frisk heard a beep and looked at her phone screen, and Naruto looked as well to see an ASCII art of an anime catgirl. Nice artwork, but who was it that just called? Asked Naruto. I don't know, it sounded like a woman. I'm kinda curious how she got your number. They moved on past a sentry station made out of cardboard and had a pretty good idea on who made, as the sign on it gave more than enough hints. Naruto took note of a sign which read, absolutely no moving, which confused him but kept in mind. They approached a sentry station when something emerged from it. It is a bipedal dog monster wearing a pink muscle shirt with a picture of a dog on the front, a ninja-like mask, a leopard print stretch pants with a brown belt. Did something move? Was it my imagination? If something was moving like a human, for instance, the monster leapt out into the pathway with a pair of short swords in hand. I'll make sure it never moves again. Naruto and Frisk's souls emerged to start the battle, with the former unsheathing his Bakken before using check on the monster. Doggo. Easily excited by movement. Hobbies include squirrels. So, he can only see when something moves? Asked Frisk. Sounds like it. Let me try something. Naruto slowly took a step to the left. Doggo immediately turned towards his direction. Moving? Doggo questioned with his blades glowing with blue energy. Naruto immediately froze. It moved. It didn't not move. That confirms it, so what do we do? Nikken suddenly ran forward while barking. Doggo turned to attack but stopped upon seeing who it is, a fellow canine. Are you related to the others? With that distraction, Frisk had an idea. She looked around and found a stick nearby, then she threw over Doggo, who suddenly had a look of excitement. Ha! A fun stick appears. Doggo immediately ran after the stick and came back with it in his mouth. Frisk took the stick and gently rubbed the back of his ears, making him wag his tail happily. What? I've been pet. Naruto soon joined in the petting. There's no end to it. Doggo moved away, looking freaked out and at the same time happy. A stick appeared out of nowhere, then disappeared when I returned it. And something that wasn't moving pet me. I'm gonna need some dog treats for this. He jumped back into the sentry station and didn't come out. That's one way to get past. Thanks for the help, Nikken, said Naruto. The wolf pup happily barked with his tail wagging. But it was funny to him, so confused like that, said Frisk in amusement. Can't deny that. They went past Doggo's sentry station and ran into Sans, who was acting chill as always. Hey Sans. Hey you too, looks like you had some fun with Doggo back there. I often pull a fast one on him from time to time, said Sans. That's one way of putting it. He freaks out when he doesn't exactly know what moves around him, said Naruto. True that. I need to alert you kids about something. My brother has a special attack. If you see a blue attack, then don't move and it won't hurt you. Wait, we saw Doggo about to attack us with his swords glowing blue. Is that what you mean? Asked Frisk. Sans winked in confirmation. That's right, blue attacks will only inflict damage when the target is moving, and my brother uses those kinds of attacks. Thanks for the heads up, Sans, we'll keep it in mind, said Naruto. No probs, said Sans before walking away and disappearing behind a tree. The group continued on their way through the trail, albeit slipping a couple of times a large sheet of ice when they encountered another monster called Lesser Dog. The trio soon came to learn that this monster is quite affectionate as opposed to the sword and shield it carried. Its neck kept extending every time they pet it, with Nikken nuzzling in affection. making it extend even more till they had enough and the dog monster left with its tail happily wagging. Their next stop was at a clearing where they saw the skeleton brothers having yet another conversation, with Papyrus complaining about Sans napping all night, with said skeleton pointing out that it's rather sleeping instead of napping. The conversation ended when the duo's arrival was noticed. Aha, the humans and dog finally arrive. In order to stop you, my brother and I have created some puzzles. I think you will it rather shocking, for this is the invisible electricity maze. Papyrus declared loudly, making Naruto get a little tense. When you touch the wall of the maze, this orb in my hand will give you a hearty zap. I doubt you would find it fun, as the amount of fun would be rather small. You may now begin. What do we do, Naruto? Asked Frisk with concern. I'm trying to come up with something, said Naruto. Nikken began sniffing around the border of the maze when Papyrus was suddenly zapped. Huh? Sans. What did you do? Papyrus said angrily. I think they were supposed to hold the orb, Sans lazily pointed out. Papyrus suddenly had a look of realization. Of course, how could I have forgotten of that important detail? He proceeded to walk through the maze in a certain pattern to reach the humans. Here, hold this. He tossed the orb over to Frisk to catch before running back to the other side. Now, you may begin. Naruto frowned in thought as he saw the way Papyrus moved through the maze without getting zapped before noticing the trail of footprints on the snow and realized what's going on. He glanced at Sans, who winked at him, confirming his thoughts. The blonde leaned in to whisper into Frisk's ear. Follow the trail of footprints that Papyrus made. It's the safe route through the invisible maze, Naruto whispered. Okay Naruto. Frisk followed the trail with Naruto behind her while carrying Nikken till they reached the other end without getting zapped by the orb, surprising Papyrus. Why, you slippery little snails, you solved the puzzle so easily. But the next puzzle will not be so easy. It is made by my brother and shall confound you as it did so to me. Nye he 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 he. Papyrus ran off with a cackle yet again. Thanks for the hint Sans, it really helped, said Naruto. No biggie, he looks like he's having fun anyways, said Sans. So what's with the armor he's wearing since he isn't a member of the Royal Guard? Asked Frisk curiously. Oh, that outfit, we made it for a costume party a few weeks ago. Since then, hasn't worn anything else, says it's his battle body. That makes him cool in my book. That's one way to put it. Naruto, Frisk and Nikken resumed their trek through the forest. They encountered a bunny guy trying to sell ice cream, but they refused and politely pointed out that he wouldn't be able to get customers due to the current climate and suggested that he tries selling them at warmer places. They ran into Sans, who tried to sell fried snow, which they awkwardly refused to buy, with the skeleton wondering if the selling price of 5G is too cheap. Further exploration led them to find 2 sentry stations and a sign having information about smell ratings before moving on. Humans. Papyrus called out upon seeing them approach. I hope you're ready for. He paused when he noticed something rather odd and turned to Sans. Where's the puzzle? It's right there, on the ground. Sans pointed at a sheet of paper lying in the middle of the small clearing. Trust me, they won't get past this one. Nikken scampered over to the paper, sniffing it before picking it up in his mouth and running back to Naruto and Frisk for them to have a look at it. It didn't do anything, said Papyrus in irritation. Ah shucks, maybe I should have gone with this week's crossword puzzle, said Sans admittedly. A crossword puzzle? Why would you use that? Personally, I find Junior Jumble to be more of a challenge. Junior Jumble is for baby bones, bro. I can't believe you. Humans. Which is more difficult, crosswords or Junior Jumble? Asked Papyrus. Naruto looked up from the puzzle to answer. To be honest, I find Junior Jumble to be more difficult compared to crosswords. He tends to play word puzzles when online with his phone or computer. Even Frisk had to agree, since she solved word puzzles on newspapers she would find. Papyrus was elated upon hearing that. You see, humans must be very intelligent to acknowledge the difficulty of Junior Jumble. Nye he 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 he. Then he ran off as usual. Thanks for agreeing with my bro. He was stumped trying to solve the horoscope yesterday, said Sans. But a horoscope isn't a word puzzle, said Frisk in confusion. Something he's yet to figure out. Moving on, They came across two tables with one having a plate of frozen spaghetti and the other with an unplugged microwave. There was a note nearby which they picked up to read. Humans, please enjoy this plate of spaghetti. Little do you know that this spaghetti is a trap, designed to entice you. You will be so busy eating it that you won't realize that you aren't progressing. Thoroughly japed again by the great Papyrus. Nye he he he, Papyrus. Kinda reminds me of a cartoon involving a coyote and a bird, said Naruto with a smirk. But I don't think we can even eat it since it's too cold and there's no electricity to use the microwave, said Frisk. We might need to let him know of that. Let me save then we move on. Naruto went to access the save point. Knowing the mouse might one day find a way to heat the spaghetti, it fills you with determination. Save? Yes/no. Naruto and Frisk ended up with another puzzle where they had to find a SWCH to deactivate some spikes blocking their way, which is similar to the ones back in the ruins. Nikken came to their aid as he sniffed out the SWCH, which was surrounded by 3 pine trees, and they pressed it to resume their trek. They crossed over a wooden bridge when 2 figures approached them. They appeared to be wearing black hooded robes with a picture of a male/female on each while wielding long battle axes. Naruto and Frisk could see rounded snouts poking through the hoods and realized that they're dog monsters as well. What's that smell? One spoke in a masculine tone. Where's that smell? Asked the other with a feminine tone. They proceeded to move around sniffing the air until stopping at where Naruto and Frisk are. There are 3 smells. One smells like a puppy, the other 2 are weird smells they make me want to eliminate, said the male, holding his axe at the ready. The female stood next to him. Eliminate you. Naruto and Frisk got ready as their souls emerged and immediately used check on them. Dog Amy, husband of Dogaressa. Knows only what he smells. Dogaressa. This puppy finds her hubby lovely. Smells only. So they can track by scent, then those sentry stations belong to them and that info on scent rating now makes total sense, said Naruto. Let's kick human tail. Dog Amy swung his axe at Naruto, who rolled to the side and jumped away to create some distance between each other. Do humans have tails? Dogaressa attacked Frisk as well, with the girl scrambling out of the way to avoid getting it. I wonder if Frisk, do you still have that stick from before? Asked Naruto urgently. Frisk shook her head. No, I dropped it when we met Doggo. Then I hope this works. Naruto drew his Bakken whistle. Fetch. He threw it as far as he could. This instantly triggered a reaction in the dogi. It's a fun stick. Dog Amy called out in excitement. Playtime. Dogaressa yipped in agreement. They ran after the Bakken and returned with it. Naruto took the Bakken and threw it again, with the dogi fetching it once more. This continued a few more times, with Frisk and Nikken joining until they were satisfied. Weird smells can bring good things, said Dog Amy. Friendly fun. Fetch. Dogaressa's tail wags happily. Thanks, weird smells. It sure was fun to stick together. Dog Amy and Dogaressa affectionately nuzzled Naruto and Frisk, then gave Nikken a lick before taking their leave. They're really nice when they warm up to us, said Frisk with a smile. Yeah, Naruto wiped the slobber off the Bakken before returning it to the sheath. Maybe you should keep a stick in hand just in case we run into another one of the dog monsters. The next puzzle the group encountered required that they pass over the blue X fields to turn them to red O fields before stepping on the ground SWCH to change the red O fields to green, which deactivated the spikes. That was when they saw Papyrus, who was surprised to see them. What? How did you avoid my trap? And more importantly, is there any left for me? Asked Papyrus. Actually, we left it because Frisk was about to explain when Papyrus interrupted her. You resisted the aroma of my home-cooked spaghetti just so you could share it with me? Naruto and Frisk blinked at Papyrus' assumption. Fret not, for Mstr Chef Papyrus will make you all the pasta you could ever want. Nye, he continued onwards at a merry pace. He totally misunderstood what we were trying to say, said Naruto in disbelief. It will make it really hard to tell him the truth since he's really nice, said Frisk with concern. I know, let's follow after him. They caught up with Papyrus to find him standing before the next Zoxo puzzle, which is apparently much larger compared to the first one. How do I say this? You were taking a long time to arrive, so I decided to improve upon this puzzle by arranging the snow to look more like my face. Unfortunately, the snow froze to the ground. Now the solution is different. Plus, my lazy brother isn't here, said Papyrus with a small frown before perking up, but fear not. For I, the great Papyrus, shall resolve this situation so we can proceed. Meanwhile, feel free to try to solve the puzzle yourselves. Naruto responded with a shrug, sure, we don't have anything better to do right now. We'll give it a go, right Frisk? Frisk nodded in agreement, okay Naruto. They took turns trying to solve the puzzle, but they had to reset it a couple of times before finally getting it and deactivating the spikes, surprising the skeleton. Wow! You solved it, and without my help too. I'm quite impressed. You must care about puzzles like I do. I'm sure you will like my next puzzle, it might even be too easy for you. Papyrus ran off excitedly. Sans appeared behind the duo and spoke up, surprising them, looks like you two didn't need my help on this one. I find it to be a good thing since I love doing absolutely nothing. I've been getting an idea of that since we first met, said Naruto with a smirk. Pretty much yeah, keep in mind that there's a puzzle right up ahead of you. Okay Sans, said Frisk with Nicken barking in affirmation. They went past Sans to reach a small wooden bridge which to a large floor comprised of tiles with various shades of gray, and Papyrus stood next to a machine with Sans by him. Oh, hello humans, and not annoying dog, I'm sure that this next puzzle will be to your liking, for it was created by the great Dr. Alphys. You see these tiles, they will change color the moment I throw the SWCH, with each color having a certain effect. Papyrus proceeded to explain, red tiles are impassable so you cannot walk on them. Yellow tiles are electric which will shock you. Green tiles are alarm tiles, stepping on them will make fight a monster. Orange tiles will make you smell like oranges. Blue tiles are water tiles so you swim through them if you like, but you will be attacked by piranhas if you smell like oranges. Also, if a blue tile is next to a yellow tile, the water will also zap you. Purple tiles are slippery and will cause you to slide to the next tile. However, the slippery soap smells like lemons which piranhas do not like and will stay away if you smell like lemons. Purple and blue are okay. Finally, pink tiles don't do anything so you can step on them all you like. Do you understand the instructions? Not really, considering that the explanation is a bit confusing, said Frisk. Yeah, kinda hard to keep it all in mind, said Naruto. Very well then, I'll repeat it once more. Red tiles are impassable, yellow tiles will shock you, blue tiles will make you fight a monster, green tiles are water tiles and dash. Hang on, I thought green tiles make you fight monsters and blue tiles are water tiles, Naruto pointed out. Oh my, you're right. Well then, orange tiles make you orange-scented so avoid stepping on green tiles. Don't you mean avoid stepping on the blue tiles when smelling like an orange or we would be attacked by piranhas? Asked Frisk. Bro, I think you're mixing up the instructions for the puzzle, said Sans. Perhaps you're right, there is a lot to recount to be honest. How about this, I'll leave the instructions for you two to go over, then activate the SWCH so you can try at your own pace. Good luck. Papyrus placed a sheet of paper next to the machine before walking away. We forgot to tell him about the frozen spaghetti, said Frisk as they approached Sans, who then responded. About that, my brother has been taking cooking lessons and improving his skills. I'm pretty sure by next year, he would make something edible, said Sans. If my mom were here, I'm sure she would have him MSTR cooking within the month since she owns a well-known restaurant and receives a lot of interns, said Naruto with a proud smile. You mean the Crimson Whirlpool? I heard people saying how the food there is delicious. The owner is your mom, said Frisk in wonder with Naruto nodding in affirmation. Wow kid, sounds to me like you get some pretty good chow at home, said Sans. Yeah, part of the reason why I want to go home. Let's get moving Frisk, said Naruto. Okay. Nikken had gone to look at the paper, and even for a wolf pup, it could tell that the writing on it is intelligible before following after the two humans. They encountered Lesser Dog near its sentry station with many snow sculptures of dogs with long necks like its own. The monster gave them a slobbering lick in greeting before resuming sculpting more snow dogs with long necks. A fawn monster nearby told them of how Lesser Dog came by earlier full of excitement and started building snow sculptures but never finishing them. Naruto interacted with a save point nearby. Knowing that the dog will never give up trying to make the perfect snow dog, it fills you with determination. Save. Yes/no. Moving on, the trio came across another Zoxo puzzle with the X fields laid out on a large ice field. Naruto looked at the X's carefully before calling out to Frisk. "I'll give a go to see I can solve this one, then you'll follow after me," said Naruto. He proceeded to slide from one blue X to another while changing them into red OS before stepping on a ground SWCH to form a snow bridge. He went on to slide through a tunnel of coniferous trees and emerging on the other side. "Frisk, the way is open now. You can come through with Nikken." "Okay." Frisk's voice was faintly heard in the distance. She came sliding in moments later with Nikken and crashed into Naruto with both falling to the snowy ground. Frisk saw that she was on top of Naruto and quickly got off, looking rather embarrassed. "Sorry for crashing into you." Naruto simply smiled and got back to his feet. "It's okay, just glad you two didn't get hurt." Frisk smiled at the blonde's thoughtfulness and Nikken wagged his tail. The trio found themselves in the next area where they saw many snow puffs everywhere with a small doghouse nearby. Nikken went over to one of the snow puffs and sniffed a couple of times before digging through it and began barking excitedly, calling Naruto and Frisk. "Whatcha found there?" "Whoa, there's 30 gold here." "Good job, Nikken." Frisk pet Nikken with the wolf pup wagging his tail at the praise. "So far we have 258 G on us, hopefully there's a town where we can get something useful for our journey," said Naruto thoughtfully. He noticed something moving in a snow puff and went to take a closer look. Suddenly something popped out of the snow and revealing to be a dog with white fur. "Oh, it's just a little dog." The dog barked before rising out of the snow puff clad in a large gray suit of armor and wielding a spear with the image of a dog's face on it. Naruto looked up and took a few steps back with a sweat drop as his and Frisk's souls emerged from their bodies. "I retract my statement and feel that we're gonna need a bigger stick." Like always, Naruto used ACT and followed up with check to learn more about this dog monster. Greater dog. It's so excited that it thinks fighting is just play. No sooner did they read the information that the greater dog rushed at them with its tail wagging and move its dog-faced spear at them. Naruto quickly unsheathed his Botken and parried the incoming attack before jumping away and taking a stance with the Botken held in front of him. The large canine monster kept attacking Naruto with the blonde evading with jumps and sidesteps, barking happily at the thought of playing a game with the humans which was sending blue-colored projectiles in the form of the word bark. Naruto recalled Sans' advice about blue attacks and stood still for them to phase through him without inflicting any damage at all. "So blue attacks really don't affect me as long as I don't move," Naruto muttered thoughtfully before diving out of the way of Greater Dog's pounce and snapping back into focus, unaware of the soft white glow from his left eye. Greater Dog was about to continue its game when a voice called out to it, "Hey Greater Dog." It turned around to see the other human with a wolf pup next to her and she was holding something which made its tail wag in excitement. "I have a fun stick so we can play a game fetch." She threw the stick, making the Greater Dog bound after it in joy and returning the stick to her to continue playing. Naruto let out a sigh of relief, served as a distraction so that Frisk and Nikken could go look for a stick so that they could appeal to its friendlier canine nature. "That's a good dog." Frisk gently coaxed the Greater Dog which was panting lightly from the game of fetch. It actually exited from its armor to happily lick them in gratitude for having so much before jumping back inside the armor head first and making it walk away with its tail wagging. "I hope we're getting close to a town, I'm beginning to feel a bit cold," said Frisk, shivering lightly from the cold climate. "Same here, we could ask Sans when we meet him," Naruto suggested as they walked along the snowy trail before reaching up to a long rope bridge. He cautiously placed a foot on the bridge then applied pressure to it along with testing the strength of the rope before calling out to Frisk, "I think it's safe enough for us to cross over to the other side." Frisk looked over the edge at the bottom in worry and turned to Naruto, who held out a hand to with eyes full of sureness. She braced herself and picked up Nikken before taking Naruto's hand as they proceeded to cross the bridge. They were almost there when they saw Sans and Papyrus at the end of the bridge. "Alright humans, this will be your final puzzle challenge. Behold the Gauntlet of Deadly Terror." Papyrus snapped his fingers, causing various traps to appear above and below the bridge, comprising of a spiky ball tethered by chains, 2 spears, an oil drum fire pit, a cannon and a dog hanging from a rope. The moment I say the code word, it will activate. Cannons will fire, spikes will swing, blades, and dogs will howl. Each will swing violently up and down with only a small chance of victory. Be ready, for I am about to do it. Naruto stood protectively in front of Frisk, who looked over his shoulder in worry as they waited for the traps to activate any moment from now. "Well, what's the hold-up?" asked Sans curiously. "Hold up? What hold up? I'm about to activate it right now," Papyrus proclaimed. "That doesn't look very activated," Sans pointed out, seeing that the traps aren't doing anything at all. Papyrus appeared to be rather hesitant. "Well, this challenge, it seems to be too easy to defeat the humans and not so annoying dog. A skeleton such as myself have class. My puzzles are fair and traps being expertly cooked. However, this is far too direct with no class at all." Away they go. He clapped his hands to make the traps go away before let out a sigh of relief. Then he noticed Naruto and Frisk smiling at him. "Why are you two smiling? This is yet another victory for the great Papyrus, with your ultimate defeat soon at hand." "Nye he he he." Then he left with the duo reaching the end of the bridge. "You're right about Papyrus not being dangerous no matter how he tries to be," said Naruto. "He's a very nice person," said Frisk. "That's my bro for ya, but be careful, as I don't know what he has planned next." "Just keep an open eye socket out for blue attacks," said Sans. Sans, is there a town around here?" "Actually there is, just up ahead is Snowed-in Town. No need to worry about the locals as they're quite friendly." Sans pointed down the path for them to see lights shining in the distance. "Thanks Sans, we'll see you later then," said Naruto. They continued on their way and soon arrived at the town. Naruto and Frisk could see that the town took on the Christmas theme, which kind of made them wonder if it's winter all around in this place. They came across a shop which is conjoined with an inn. Before entering the inn, Naruto accessed the save point first. The sight of such a friendly town fills you with determination. "Save? Yes/no." Smiling at the message, Naruto affirmed his save before entering the inn with Frisk and Nikken as they approached the reception counter to speak with the innkeeper, who's a bunny lady. "Welcome to Snowed Inn, Snowdin's premier hotel. How may I help you?" said the lady with a smile. "Hello, we would like a room for the night," said Naruto politely. "Very well then, one night costs 80 G, Naruto nodded in affirmation, then paid the fee. "Here's your room key, make sure to bundle up." "Thank you," said Frisk. They left the counter and went upstairs to their assigned room, which contained 2 beds and a bathroom inside. They took turns having a warm bath before getting ready to go to bed with Nikken. Curling up next to Naruto's bed, Frisk then spoke up. Naruto?" Naruto turned towards the girl, wondering what she wanted. "What's your mom like?" Naruto quirked an eyebrow at the question. "Why do you want to know?" "Well, you said before that Toriel is kinda like your mom. I wanted to know how exactly, if you don't really mind telling me." The blonde turned on the bed to look at the ceiling. "Well, my mom tends to worry about a lot of things even when assured that things will be fine, but I understand since she wants to be there to support. She can be very scary when angered, as a lot of people learnt the hard way. I myself try to make sure that anything I do won't make her mad. The moment you see her hair waving about like 9 tails, that's when you know that something got on her nerves. All in all, she's someone I love with all my heart." He smiled contently at the memories being recalled. "That sounds nice. How about your dad?" The moment Frisk asked that question, Naruto's smile instantly disappeared, which worried her. "Naruto. I'm sorry Frisk, can we not talk about it?" Naruto turned away from her to face the wall. Frisk could see that she asked a very heavy question. I'm so sorry Naruto, I didn't mean to. I understand, maybe some other time. Both children soon fell into slumber, albeit Naruto had been trying to will himself into sleep. He wasn't upset with Frisk in the least bit concerning the question she asked, but rather at something else. As he finally fell asleep, he thought he heard the sound of a metal chain, then a painfully familiar voice echoing in his mind. Remember Naruto, I will never stop loving, and that is a promise from me to you. A tear flowed down Naruto's cheek as he let out a whisper, Dad. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 2. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author Hussbek on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.